아침 됐으면 돼. Hey guys! Hi guys! Hey guys, can you hear me? Oh my god, you guys were already waiting for me. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm sorry about the moving stuff in the back. Hi guys. Oh, thank you. B-U-B-B-R-E Gamgan is how I say. Thank you. So I am back because I wanted to share this moment with you guys. I began my YouTube on this apartment end of August 2020. So it's been 4 months, right? September, 4 or 5 month time. And I have so much wonderful memories with you here. And today is like my last day being in this apartment. So I thought I should do this because you guys almost share this apartment with me, at least in my mind. And I will be missing my oven right there with all my snacks are there. And it's been such a wonderful journey, and I cannot wait to show you my new apartment. I mean, new apartment is not also big. It's just a one convertible like studio, but it's perfect to be just alone. I don't want to be in a big apartment either because one is gonna be so lonely, and two is gonna be scary. I get scared still, and three is gonna be hard to clean. So, thank you, guys. Anyways, that was a fun way starting this live chat. Oh, thank you, Lori. Thank you so much. And another thing I just want to talk about today mainly was, the how I thought North Korean regime can collapse. But other than that, I'm also here to answer your questions and really hang out with you. Thank you, Alex. Would you think of the? Would you no? Do you think of the UK have been to the Wales? I've been to London very like 10 times, and I've been to Lancaster, some other parts, but I've never been to Scotland. And honestly, I mean, I love the UK. I love, America is so huge, so I do feel home here, but when I go to the UK countryside, it reminds me a lot of North Korea, the mountains and the streams, trees, all of that. So my dream was actually buying a stone house because I love all the stone house you guys had there in the countryside, and then have my own orchard and like have a dog and cat like running around. So that was like my little dream I had in the past. Maybe I will retire there. Yes, Edward, I know Dimple. Let's see. So I do want to. I mean, I might be spending lots of time in the UK. I'm not sure if I can move there because I'm not sure they're gonna give me a green card there. But I'm sure I can visit often. Hey, hi from Greece, Portugal, and J. Nicholas. Thank you so much. Phil, we rise by lifting others. Love and life from Toronto, Canada. Oh, thank you so much. I really agree with that. So as Phil mentioned, right, we rise together, right, when we lift others. And what North Korean regime hasn't done was actually they were trying to rise only themselves by bringing down others, and that is really not gonna give them a good ending. And that's why I was saying, like, we'll talk about how North Korean regime will fall. It's precisely because nobody was being benefiting by this system other than Kim Jong-un. Not even elites, like maybe few elites, but mostly they were not. And this is gonna come get back at him by literally destroying everyone's life and trying to be a god in this 21st century. So let's see. So Christian, right? Sticker, how I say? Hi, which nation would you say you feel more home in at home in USA or South Korea. Definitely not South Korea, guys. Believe it or not. I never felt more rejected in my life. I mean, honestly, China was tough, but not is like tough is different thing, right? Like in China, of course, the authorities were trying to capture me and sending me back to North Korea, and the Chinese people, it was there. I mean, of course, I met the worst of the people, right? The human traffickers would rape people, but they were not the like representation of a whole Chinese people. And when I would go to the markets in China and I would tell them like I was actually coming from South Korea, the people were still very nice. And but in South Korea, the problem I had was that like literally anyone I met is telling me where are you from, and because I had North Korean accent, it just gave me away. And even it was just I couldn't believe like I had South Korean citizenship living in South Korea, and people were still discriminating me that much because of my birthplace. So I guess I was more hurt being discriminated by my own people. Maybe being discriminated from other race or other nation, it didn't hurt me as much. But South Korea was a definitely tough pill to swallow. So uh, so somebody asked, do you find the lack of support for North Korean refugees by governments frustrating? It's so the thing is, guys, like about the support of North Korean defectors or refugees, it's what China does is a crime. You by the Geneva Convention, we cannot send the political refugees back to their country. So when why we call North Koreans are defectors, they are not just like refugees. By escaping, we are defecting the regime. We defy the regime. We are saying we don't like the party system. So when we escape, it automatically makes us a traitors of the nation. That's why Kim's always when we capture and go back, they call us traitors because we escaped. We gave up the revolution. That's how they view the defectors. Like you by escaping, you guys, abandon the revolution of socialist paradise, and you gave up. So you are the traitor. You gotta be punished for that reason. So China cannot do that to us. That is a crime against humanity by the international law. But when it comes to when the refugees come to America, like of course, we are like treated like every other refugees, like coming from Somalia, Vietnam, anywhere other like refugees the same. So I'm fine with that. Because all we want actually as North Korean refugees is just give us this freedom, the equal opportunity, equal right as South Koreans or Americans. Like once we become citizens, what was problem with the South Korea is that despite we become their citizen, South Korea do not give us the same right to be a citizen. They, like literally imprisoning my fellow North Korean defectors in South Korea because they are practice freedom of speech. The same law doesn't apply to South Koreans. And they say North Koreans cannot hold certain positions. So when America, like when I came here, keep talking about the systemic racism, right? But in America, even African American can become president. But in South Korea, as a North Korean, you cannot be a president in South Korea. And you cannot hold like CIA positions. You cannot go to military in certain positions because they still think we could be a spy from North Korea. And I think that's what frustrates me is like institutionally that they don't accept us as equal citizens when we escape to that country. But in America, it's been really good. So Chasaki, how I say 안녕하세요. My father's side is from Cheongju, defected during Korean War. My father thinks there are North NK more spies in US. What do you think? Thank you. Yes, there are tons of North Korean spies in America, in UK, guys, in South Korea, in China, Vietnam, like Malaysia, literally in Germany, everywhere. North Korea, believe it or not, has their consulates like around the world. And even the North Korean consul, even in London, in Sweden, so North Korea is really accepted diplomatically like normal nation in that ways. So the agents are working everywhere, and not only that though, I'm not like almost worrying about North Korean spies. I am more worried about these sympathizers of a dictatorship because North Korea is the last country holding socialist ideology. Like last country are pure socialist. Therefore, all these people like Maoist, Leninist, Marxist, they really do not like me. And those people what I'm scared of actually than the actual spies of North Korea. Brunella, so hi from Switzerland. Have you ever been to Switzerland? Love you so much and you thank you. Is that how I say it, Brunella? I've been to Switzerland. I spoke at the UN several times at their General Assembly meeting in September when they have that. No, it's like in the spring that right. New York got in the fall and Geneva got in the springtime. So I've been there for like 5 times, and it was really funny. Like I remember my hotel was in the France side, and like the United Nations building were in Switzerland. And one of the people were working with me, taking me to the UN in the morning, and he was telling me that's like the border between the France and Switzerland. And like there were no wire fences, there were no guards with the guns and like standing there. I was so shocked that like how people could literally just cross over that easily. And when I was crossing the North Korean border, it was the most impossible thing to do. And looking at how everyone else were like living that peacefully, how good the democracy is, like we can just cross borders in with that peace. That was something such a great shock for me to experience. So was like a COWL. Have you seen Aramaki project, the post videos from inside North Korea, and I thought it was interesting. Oh, I wouldn't see what project it is. I often check out all the videos related to North Korea. So if you can be nice, let me please like link that video on the comment section after our session. Thank you. Oh, Ireland, thank you so much, Emma. California. So where do you live now? Cath, is that how I say CATH? Asked. I'm living in Chicago, Illinois. And in Chicago, it's right now it's snowing so much. To my country. Newton is from Iran. Okay. South Africa, I love you. Thank you so much. I love you guys so much. Let's see. Thank you guys for watching my videos too. So shall we going into what I was going to talk about today, the topic, or do you guys want me to do more like answering questions? It's like it's so really fun to ending my time in this apartment with you. It was very scary to start living alone again, and thankfully I started the YouTube and met you all there, so I didn't feel like lonely at all, even though it was a pandemic and it was so isolating in a new city. But you guys made it so much fun and happy and loving here. J. Nicholas Windsor, is it true there's Russian Orthodox churches in the capital of North Korea? Much love from Scotland. There are churches in Pyongyang, like they literally have a church for Catholic, some other like Christian churches, and they even have the Buddhist the temples. But the thing is, it's all fake. They literally show it to the foreigners when they visit and show them like, look at this. This is an actual church. People go there to worship. There's on a funny story. North Korea regime one day decided that they were going to revere the true believers of Bible. So they built this church and said, oh, it's okay, North Korea, we are gonna allow the freedom of religion now. So you can like truly come out, tell me that if you're a Christian, if you still believe in God or Kim Il Sung. And then when this time, like North Koreans, sadly, they believed it. They believed the human decency, and they came out like, I actually believe in the Bible. I believe in God and Jesus. So of course they all got killed. And it was the same tactic that Mao used during the before the Cultural Revolution, right? They say whoever has a disagreement, like show up, and then we kill them all. So that was the tactic North Korea used. After that, every believers went underground, and there I didn't meet someone from North Korea. He was my age, and he told me so North Koreans, how they memorize Bible. It's such a heartbreaking story, guys. So because the owning of Bible doesn't just kill your life, right? It kills up to 8 generations of your family. So some other political crimes are 3 generations, but the crimes like believing in God, not in the Kim, and trying to like start a revolution, that kind of crime kills up to 8 generations. Therefore, this like holding a Bible is such a dangerous act in North Korea. And how they do is actually the someone like in their underground like prayer group remembers like Matthew these parts, and somebody remembers different parts of Bible this like part, and then when they gather they recite it so other people know what's in other Bible. And if this grandma's job was remembering just Matthew, and it's like the chapter, her job to give it to her grandchild so that Bible verses doesn't get lost. So he remembered the entire that chapter of that. I mean, a Bible. I was so shocked, like how do you remember it all? And it's like this was the only way that we were able to follow God's word by remembering, because we couldn't own any written piece of this Bible. And I was like, why in 21st century that humans have to do this to practice their faith, right? It just unbelievable, the scale of North Korean regime, how much they're oppressive and taking rights from people. And so that's what I hear, all these underground Bible groups, all they can do is just memorizing and telling other people and what they know about the Bible. So somebody asked, Isabel, can you interview someone from other country? It's like, what kind of country, guys? I'm happy to talk to all other refugees from other countries. You can let me know too, like who should I have on my channel. So it would be an honor to have somebody to tell their story and what they do. So somebody, Croatia, said, where does Kim get worth from? Can his mistress maybe change his heart? That's a really good question, right, guys? So one, how he's getting his worth. There is one department in Pyongyang called number 39. That department is mainly their dedication is making Kims are rich. And a lot of revenues North Korea is getting, one, by selling drugs. North Korea is one of the biggest manufacturer of meth, crystal meth, opium. And another source of income for North Korean regime is selling lots of their own people. They sell their women to China and working in these restaurants like slaves, or sending their men to Siberia and Russia to cut down those trees, or sending their men to Africa to build tons of monuments for the African dictators. So North Korean workers are in Poland, in Qatar, in Russia, I mean like in so many European countries. And that is another stream of revenue for Kim. And the other one, the recent one, is actually hacking. North Korea stores so many Bitcoins, guys, and they keep stealing money from the banks and these individual accounts. And this is like a thing, like when people say, oh, North Korea doesn't affect my life, why do I have to care about like that country? It just, it doesn't affect me in any way, but it will someday if we don't stop it. They can actually like take money from your account, and they hacked a lot of the insurance companies and hospitals. So one of the hospital in UK got actually hacked, and they lost all the like the patients history of their health like conditions. So it was a huge problem. So that's like how North Korean regime makes money. Yeah, 1,000 people are watching. Got it. Thank you guys. uh, so let's see what other questions shall I go through. So why do South Koreans discriminate against refugees from the North? What reasons do they have? I mean, discrimination in any sense is really bad, but I think the few reasons I can say why in South Korea they discriminate North Koreans. One is we are coming from a poor country. So South Koreans do not discriminate people from France or America, like Canada, Australia, but they do discriminate people coming from poor countries like Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, and of course North Korea is poor. That is the reason. And second is South Koreans think that their tax revenue is going to North Koreans. So when we arrive in South Korea, we get for the first 6 months, guys, we get something $200 for 6 months each month. So my mom and I were together. We received like about $300 stipends for the first 6 months, and then they would give us like public government housing for 1 year or like 5 years, and we have to pay the rent. But it's public government housing, so it's like rents are way cheaper, and it's in the area where a lot of gangs and bad neighborhoods are. So they think that money is like can be spent for something for their own citizens to South Koreans, not the North Koreans. So that tax revenue is a problem for them. And third is because North Korea and South Korea had a history of having a civil war with each other, they think North Koreans can be spies. And that three, I think, is the main reason why they are discriminating us so much. And also in general, like, right, people don't like change, and South Korea is a very homogeneous country. So it's not like America is a melting pot of every race. It's very new to them to, meet someone from other parts of South Korea. So anyway, Jared, good to see you, Jared. So in the past, communists called enemies counter-revolutionary rightists, reactionary, and class traders. Now it's words ending is class. That's interesting. I heard so many of those words in North Korea. So me, Jojo, heard rumors that Kim Jong-un may have possibly killed his father, Kim Jong-il, due to possibly going same open route as Russia, China. What is your take? So it's very possibly Kim Jong-un might have killed Kim Jong-il, and I'm talking about second Kim, killed the first Kim, because Kim Jong-il was very ambitious with the power. And I don't know what it is, like so many people say Kim Jong-il still has some heart for North Korean people, that he was still some kind of true believer of communism. So when he truly founded North Korea, he thought, even though he had to kill so many people, so much bloodshed, he thought, communism was like better for the mass. So when Kim Il-sung heard that his people were dying like millions out of starvation in the 90s, so Kim Il-sung died in 1994, and I was born in 1993, so 6 months before his death. And Kim died from like heart shock because he couldn't believe what he created, what a monster regime that he created. And Kim Jong-il wanted to silence his father. But this is like all rumors, because so many North Koreans like still sympathize with the Kim Il-sung even after all this. And people keep saying things, the people like saying things like this, right? If we implement socialism correctly, it will never bring us a disaster. The only reason why socialism, whenever we tried, failed every single time is because the implementers didn't do the right job. That is why. So the problem is not with the socialism, but with the people who implements it. And the people who have this theory keep saying things like that, like, Kim Il Sung was always had a right intention for the people, and Kim Jong Il, who was the one trying to make God himself, and that's why creating this, Kim Il Sung theory and ideology, all of that. I mean, I guess we will know once the regime comes down. But in my mind, just Kim Il Sung was completely nuts. How he was deciding one day, taking every single thing from people without their consent, right? Like eliminating private property and making cows, cars, houses, every single thing the government property. And when these people deciding, what, like this water bottle costs, like how possibly government officials sit down every single day deciding what costs what, right? It's such an inefficient way of dealing with things. And that's why they usually fall. It's not, I'm sure, like even the people work so hard, it's not about the implementation. When we try to implement pure socialism, I just don't think that can ever work. So I think that's my intake, guys. So let's see. I'm truly scared now, guys. I'm gonna be banned from YouTube by saying all these words. So if you do, please follow me on my social media. So even if I get banned here, you still know where to find me afterwards for just safety. Do you think, let's see, so tell me the similarities between Iran and North Korea. Kimia, as I say, asked, what's the similarity between Iran and North Korea? I have to be really humble here because, guys, I never been to Iran. I have met people, though, from Iran in New York, and I met a lot of activists from Iran. So one of my best friend used to be, now we cannot really see each other with the COVID. She was Iranian activist who was advocating for women to have the right to take off their hijab. So if a choice of themselves wearing the hijab is fine, but if women feels like not wanting to wear the hijab, it's their choice not to wear it. Also, if women singing is banned, right? I'm not sure right now, but that's what she told me. I has so much similarity with North Korea that women, like not only women in North Korea, actually it's even men. The only songs that we allowed to sing in North Korea are the worship songs. And those banners on the street like death to Americans, I heard that it's in Iran too. So Iran also does the same tactic, right? Blaming Americans, blaming the sanction that America imposes, and nothing is wrong with the government. Everything is all Americans' fault. And North Korea kept that same narrative for 75 years. Literally, they blame every single thing for Americans. And then, when you have a place to blame, you don't have to be held accountable. So I thought that there was so much similarity that was happening with Iran and in Cuba and North Korea. So, right, like President Bush said, like the four axes of evil. And I can see why he did that. So, Babada, thank you. Have you considered going on as a guest on Tim Pool's live stream or Joe Rogan's podcast? I think you make a good guest. Thank you so much. I would love to. I don't know how to reach out to those big names in America. I'm so new to YouTube world, guys, or even podcast. It's so, honestly, I felt like it'd be hard to establish yourself here, and I've been so blessed that having you guys and a lot of other my defector friends that I had over, right? Like Uni, Yuna, and what is it, Gwangmyeong, and I had like three nursing guests over, and they are definitely struggling, and I was doing my best to help them. So yeah, you guys can let us know how we can tackle more going into, I'm not sure are they mainstream or not, like to the people who has more influence in American politics, so we can do, make North Korea known. Let's see. So Henry said, do you support gay marriage? Like absolutely. I am I I know, like, you can never win by telling people about your political views. I don't. I think it's an individual right to do whatever you want as long as you don't harm others, and governments stay as much as they can stay out of the business. I mean, there are a few sectors that government need to like manage and control and intervene, but most of things is better off to for the individual sectors to manage. And look at North Korea's healthcare system, right? The regime took it over. Look at North Korea's education system, guys. Like healthcare, education, military, every single thing the government took over. And what happened? And I know, like in North Korea, everyone's saying like the worst case you can compare, but believe or not, the government controls everything in North Korea. So look even in China, and therefore, I am really in the position where I want to dignify individuals, and I want to give them as much rights as I can. And when we empower individuals, we all win at the end. Because, we are the collection of individuals. Why people just keep trying to take away things from individuals? I just don't get it. Like, are you not an individual yourself? It's like, nothing is more dignified than being an individual, and that's why we have to make them reach their full potential and not limiting it. Maria, thank you for loving my chat. Do you think that a TV drama about the life in North Korea, something like Walking Dead, would be an idea someone would be interested? So TV drama about the life in North Korea, someone would be, you mean like how people are gonna be interested in North Korea if we create a TV series? If that's a case, like I do really think so. Like I wrote a book, as you guys know, and book can reach a certain group of people, and then documentary can do the same, right? And also even YouTube, right? My channel is not about I'm reacting to some like cool American snacks. It's not. My channel is very boring political channel, and I'm grateful, guys, you're staying with me right now here. You guys have so much patience, and usually what I see always like entertainment always wins over like talking about the factual things. So until somebody in Hollywood dramatize North Korea and make this issue something more humanized and approachable, then we can really reach the mass audience and we can really truly raise awareness. But the problem is if any Hollywood studio makes movie about North Korea that challenges China, nobody will pick it up, nobody will invest. And this is why, even though, right, like people actually care about North Korea, they want to know what's going on, but it's Hollywood can't really take any move on this subject. So Kami, thank you, Kami. Do you think we will witness revolution in North Korea in our lifetime? If I say yes, I will be lying. The question should be nobody knows. Like it can definitely happen, very likely. But also look at China. It cannot possibly not. Like now we see again the huge rise of authoritarianism, and in the past we thought getting the internet to people that we're gonna make people demand freedom. But right now look at China, people are content. Their stomach is not hungry anymore, and they are content with what it is. Therefore, it's really hard to predict the future. And I think all we can do is what is the right thing to do right now in front of our eyes. Then when we do the right thing every single day, I'm sure that the result is going to come favorable to our side. But anyone said like I can predict the future, like that's all BS in my mind, because how did you know that we're going to hit by the pandemic? Even like last year, earlier this time of the year, nobody knew. I think that's why I always know like we can not take the now granted, because now is the only granted chance for us to do something that make life meaningful and like get better with ourselves. And I think that's how I view it is. Thank you guys so much. Um, so let's see. So RKS51 asked, I had a good question for you, but I forgot it. Oh no. I did the same thing. You can take your time to think about it. So Alex, hi gang. Yay. How do you feel that you have a virtual army behind you to support you all the way? It feels unbelievable. Like sometimes I feel like almost like, is this really true? Like I don't know, some of you saw my video, but I completely broke down last time about seeing like how women in China were being sold online market like puppies in this 21st century, and how the international community wouldn't do anything about it, even though there's actual evidence in your eyes. Still, like all this high court in the UN wouldn't do anything. And that made me really feel like there's no justice. Like all these people saying the world is justice, like all lying, there's no justice. So after that I had to do some therapy. And my fear was like always being alone, because crossing that desert, I literally felt like I was abandoned by whole humanity. That was a feeling that I can't forget. It wasn't like being cold or scared someone gonna shoot me or I'm gonna die by like snake gonna bite me. It wasn't that. Like literally from China, I was started walking to Mongolia in 2009. It's like minus 40 degrees, and in our team like 8 people with one toddler with us. We gave him like a sleeping pill so he wouldn't start like getting up and cry and like give our location away to other people. And we started walking in the Gobi Desert. And until that point, guys, I never even seen the picture of desert. And I didn't even know, because in North Korea, geographically, we don't have desert and we don't have internet. So I never knew how desert looked like in my life. Someone told me there were like a lot of sand gonna be there, but that's all I knew. I never thought like desert was literally just straight, and you have no clue if you go this direction or that direction. You never know, because there's not even one single tree let you know where you are. Standing there, I thought, oh my god, this universe abandoned me here, and if I die here tonight, like no one will know like I ever existed, and how like meaningless a human life felt at that moment. And now I'm like, with you guys, I don't fear that, and I don't fear alone. And this is like my fear I'm always dealing with. I don't want to be alone, and I'm living alone now, and that's why I'm keep getting my mom, because I'm scared to be alone. And something I have to like overcome, that being alone, it doesn't mean that I'm gonna die anymore. Like in freedom, being alone can be also empowering and good thing. So I have to like switch my perspective, what it means to be alone. And guys, this is like what trauma does. It does really mess up your brain and make you like think about the things, so unreasonable things. And I really like someday share like how I like overcame my trauma, if it helps anyone or if you guys are ever interested. Let's see. So Red Cloud, RIP America, July 1776 to January 20th, 2021. The funeral will be held tomorrow. Get ready for the world government. Oh, well, let's hope that people will do the right thing, and the history is on our side, and universe that conspires in our favor. I have been in a most hopeless situation, and when we not lose the hope, I know there is a chance to win. So I hope you guys don't lose your hope, because we should be hopeful right now. Nicolene Van Enter asks, how do you feel about the many successful democracies in the world? Like in Canada and Europe, these offer better healthcare and education than the US and have way less poverty. I am so up for learning about that. Actually, I've been to Sweden very many times. I go to Norway every May for a conference, and if there's no pandemic, right? And I've been to Sweden for like almost 9 times by now. And people say like Sweden is like guys like heavily socialist, and I don't deny that. People hear that when they don't lose jobs, they get paid by the government. They get paid to have your child and stay at home, and it sounds so fantastic, and almost like I couldn't believe it. But the people that I met to do work with, the market was really not regulated as much I thought. Like there are so much entrepreneurs in Sweden, and it's one of the biggest tech hub right now. Is so much technology innovation is happening in Sweden, and that's why I'm not saying like everything about socialism is ever bad. Like nothing is ever black and like white. Nothing about capitalism, everything is perfect. I'm not saying that, but I don't think going full socialism is ever a good idea, and we can get some adaptation from it, like welfare that America always has. But the thing is, I also see America has way more different race, and therefore there's a way more different way of thinking and history. It's not a homogeneous country, and I think that's why, given that America is a dream place for humanity, that every belief, different color of skin can come here with different history, different background, can live in a peacefully in a nation and loving their nation. That is a miracle. Like the countries like South Korea, I'm not impressed by, because I mean, like they were there for like how many thousands of years. They know their neighbors. They know where they're coming from. But America isn't. Like people don't know where I'm coming from, and I don't know where these neighbors that I meet coming from, like from Philippines, other countries. But given that though, like America did so well, and I think America deserves way more applause than the criticism it gets. It doesn't mean it's perfect, but it still did really well given the chances of succeeding. Like look at how many war we had with the different religion, with beliefs, right? And people are so peaceful. Like I couldn't believe in walking down the Times Square one day, people wearing hijab, like with the Jewish people like wearing this thing. I never even seen that before. Buddhists going like give you the bracelet, selling you, and all these people are loving and peaceful, and they're not trying to kill each other. And this is something like humanity couldn't ever imagine. So I think we can be a bit more forgiving to America than what we are right now, and what this country has achieved, and the potential this country has, right? Like if this country managed this far, why are we not like giving you like benefit of doubt? It can do more if we believe in this country, like if we believe the constitution that allowed for this miracle to happen. So Wes, how I say now, I don't know. You will never be alone anymore. By the way, you want mountains and forests, come on to Western Canada. I love the Vancouver, guys. When I spoke at TED in Vancouver like 2 years ago, right? Or already, I couldn't believe like how many water and mountains and so many plants even in the apartment buildings. That was like my favorite of Vancouver. So let's see. So who did you vote for? Love from the Netherlands. You are really inspired. Thank you. You're so sweet. I couldn't vote, guys, because I'm not a citizen, and I am becoming citizen this year, so I can vote I'm not sure the next election gonna be 4 years later, right? The presidential election, and I promise I will vote every time. I respect the people who think their vote not voting is also another way of responding, and I respect it, but I wanna vote because I couldn't vote, and this is something as a citizen, right? It's my privilege to tell what I want, so I cannot wait to vote and experiencing this democracy. So, oh, thank you guys. You guys are so kind. See, just trying to find humor in hopeless situation. Love you. Oh, Red Cloud, thank you. So, friends, thank you so much. I will be part of an online meeting on the subject of your story and book next week, Monday, 6 p.m. Would you like to join us for a few minutes? Please send me the detail, Frenzy. Is that a Farzin? How I say your name? I'm so sorry. I would love to. I will check my schedule, but I will try my best to join it. And I will also have a book meeting on live sometime next week, guys, here too. So whoever read my book or haven't read it, you can finish it. But if you don't want to finish it, it's alright. It's not the best book in the world, so you don't have pressure to read my book. You can join anyway. Uh, Ferrari. Yes, Northern European countries are the most democratic in the world. They have a very unique system that blends socialism and capitalism, but they don't have the heterogeneity. Sorry, I know what that means. I don't know how to pronounce it. Challenges and perks that the U.S. and Canada have. Yeah, it's everything's all context, right? I think something works in that country doesn't have to mean that it's gonna work in this country. So that's why I think the real world is way more complex than what it is. And the only idea of socialism I don't like is they're making life seem so simple, and as if government is a god there who has the almighty power to fix everything. And there are so many things that humans cannot fix and is beyond our control, like the pandemic. And that's why I don't believe it whenever the government let me take care of the healthcare, let me take care of the education. I will make every single child get the equal opportunity, make them all equally smart, make them achieve all equal result. That's all nonsense. That's not being a human. That's not what it means to be a human. All these variations, how do we deny that? So I'm sure government can make it better somehow if they do different tactics, but they cannot promise ever utopia that they are always saying. Even though government do it, there are gonna be problems. But when these politicians say things like that, they don't say that way. They say oh, whenever I take it over, the government takes over, the problem all goes away. It can never be that way. So that's why I don't buy it. And I think, yeah, but the thing is telling the reality is way more complex, and it's not inspiring, right? There's so much variations to think about. And I see why those people don't get votes, right? So how do you feel about North and South Korea walking together during Olympics? Conscious Cookie Monster. My son loves Cookie Monster, so I like the name. Walking in the Olympics together, it's a very, it's a very hard feelings, because that time I do want North Korea to be represented, but I don't think representing the regime is ever a good thing. If there was any way representing the people of North Korea could be, but those delegations were representing North Korea, and Kim Yo-jong, Kim Jong-un's brother, came at the South Korean Olympics. So that I wasn't happy with. But I will tell you more about South Korea. I don't want to be so anti-South Korea guys here, because I am still technically South Korean, and South Korea has been imprisoning a lot of defectors who's speaking out, and I might be getting prison too if I ever go back to South Korea with the South Korean citizenship from now on. So I just saw Derek. Good to see you, Derek. Why do Americans call their country America if that word refers to continent? Where let's ask American. Yeah, it confused me a little bit too, but I don't believe in this like white superiority or whatever that terms. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense at this point. So I, so yeah, I just like that's like the only thing. Like by doing the YouTube guys, honestly, it was so nerve wracking because my English is not perfect, and when I'm getting nervous, I misremember dates or words, right? Like even though when I was covering about the disabled people, some people told me don't use that words, like talk about people like special needs people, or some people like handicap is fine. And as someone like learning English as an adult, not getting all the nuance and not trying to offend, it just make caring about these non like details, right? Like kind of distracts us from paying attention to what's actually important. And this is a thing, right? Like I told them my story and other defectors told their story. And me not knowing difference between the hill and the mountain, I don't know what points altitude do we call the mountain and hill. So because I said I climbed 3 mountains, but they went to Google Earth and checked it was a hills. So that difference. And I talked about eating plants, but back then I didn't know the plants and grass difference, so I said I ate grass. And then they say you're lying. So paying attention to these like little words is something I don't get it. Like why people do that here? Like how does that do any good to anyone? Like they say obsessed with these terms, and I'm so nervous when I pronounce. Like I went to Colombia, and before we started class, everyone's like, "Oh, tell me your pronoun, what you want to be called," and they asked me to call them they. And in my English, it's not like I'm being bad. It's hard to like process. Like I call him, but I call they. Like it's just hard, and I'm doing my best, but I don't know. Like why did you guys end up here where people are wasting their energy talking about terms and how not to offend with them terms? And it's nice to be nice, but I just think it's just the energy that people are spending in America right now with these like appropriate terms, like so inefficient and just plainly ridiculous. Guys, like there are so many real problems in the world that I can't even like address here. And if I talk to the real problems, people say, like, oh, it triggers me. It's too much. And people say like I read my book, I wrote my book with everything I could. Of course, it was traumatic, like reliving through everything. And I'm still grateful I wrote it, but people say like, "Oh, don't read this book because it triggers you about this, about that," and my publishers have to write that down now. And I'm like, this bunch of babies, or like, I don't think even babies do that in North Korea. So I am sorry, I'm so frank, and I don't think I'm sorry for that at this point because it's really it's nuts. And I don't know, like I might lose saying all these things, like I might be banned by YouTube, so I gotta say what I have to. Oh, anyway, guys, let's move on. So ferry, and then I did that. So sent to DM with the details of the Monday meeting. Thank you. Is that far? You know how I say you gotta let me know then with the book meeting. Francisco, so loneliness is a huge problem in Western societies. How do you think it can be dealt with? Love you much. Great work. Oh, from Portugal. It is a huge problem, right? Like loneliness in a way kills more people. And in a lot of Asian countries right now, like literally guys, in Japan, people die from loneliness more than from COVID. And locking down still makes no sense. In some countries, people die from it more. In Japan case I'm talking about, and some countries of course like COVID kills them more. And I think it's big. In one way I can see it is people became, I don't want to say like people lost their innocence, or it just it becoming hard and harder to be like talking to people because of all these restrictions that you have to follow, and life is so comfortable. Like there's a really not real thing to unite us, right? So be in a way, I think people need some meaning in life, but it's hard to find the meaning. There's so much distraction, and of course, like social media is good, but there's like it's definitely, I do see the downside of it, like making us too addicted to it, and not like making us be away from books. Right now I'm doing my social media, it's honestly, I do read less books, and that's true. So people have to be more conscious, and there's so much things that attracting us. But again, I'm not going the route of like blaming capitalism, because capitalism is like a wonderful creature that can serve us the best if we use it right. It creates so much prosperity, it lifts people, it gives longer life, it creates better medicine, better equipment, better technology. But the problem is not capitalism creating all these wonderful things is useful. Problem is people not learning how to control themselves, how to be disciplined, and that starts with telling people everything is okay. Like I'm raising my son right now, and people telling me like, oh, don't tell your son like no, ever don't use that word, you cannot tell a toddler no. And it's like no, like they gotta learn no, because of course like telling him everything no is never gonna work, but there is a good and bad. But people moving away from this idea notion that there's no good and bad anymore, everything is okay, everything is acceptable, and chaos happens. And this book really, when I was reading the 12 Rules for Life by Dr. Jordan Peterson, that's like when I was really realizing, especially the chapter 5, how you parent your child. I learned so much, like you gotta, there are boundaries, and now like people, right, like blaming everything is okay, blaming everything okay. So some, like we are definitely in some kind of situation, chaos, because you know whatever this like circle we are in, I do think it's just really challenging to know what's true and how to live life and how to find the meaning. But it is not to blame others, it's up to us to find that. Like when you start a circle of blaming, that's what it is, right? Like people here, like going to college, everything, all they were doing is blaming capitalism, blaming white men, blaming Western civilization, blaming democracy, blaming like immigrants, blaming like what, like white supremacists, like blaming Antifa, like all blames starts there. But like at the end of the day, it is up to us to change that. And I think if we do more with that, like before criticizing others, we can blame us first, and how to be disciplined and how to be responsible. I do think people can be way happier than what they are. Sorry guys, what's wrong with me? I'm so today no filter with me today. Oh god. so she asked, socialism always fails in polar countries like North Korea. My country, India, was democratic socialism, is our socialist for 40 years, and it did little to end poverty. Things got better only after we liberalized market in 1991. Yes, I do think free market is always the best medicine to lift poverty. And free market creates rich people, but what's the problem? Why being rich is bad? Like being poor is not bad, so why being rich is bad? And I think again, like free market is capitalism, is such a useful tool that we have in our hands, and we can use this beautiful tool to make our life better and making our like humanity lives better. Instead of blaming it, we gotta use its advantage, which is capitalism is so good at generating wealth and prosperity, guys. And all our human history, we are starving. And how are you blaming a tool that made us be done starving? Like our ancestors spent all their day actually looking for food, because that's how food was scarce. And without capitalism, you will not have time to blame for capitalism. Seriously, like in North Korea, we don't have time to like blaming political institutions because we are so poor. And not what system other than capitalism made us rich and made us full in our stomach, and like me having that much snack, like that's unthinkable. How an individual can consume that much like food, right? Like that much like luxury. So I mean, anyway, that's my take, guys, today. So sorry. If you get offended, it's okay. You can leave me. um, so truth with the ES. You're speaking the truth. You see that the mess the US is going through. Never apologize. Thank you so much. Thank you. So I live your life is how I say hi, Yeonmi. So happy you're about to be a US citizen. Why doesn't the US put more pressure on China to stop deporting North Korean refugees? It's because, I mean, people saying, because of profits, but it's not about, again, guys, capitalism. It is true the people who wants to make the biggest margins and profits, they do not want to lose Chinese market. China has the biggest middle class in the world, got like 1.4 billion people. Like 1 in 4 is Chinese in this world, and they are very rich right now. So it's a huge market to lose in from a business perspective. And the business are driven by profits, so I get that. But the thing is, it's not capitalism's fault, but when people become conscious being a capitalist. And right now in America, guys, we don't have to, some countries have to do whatever it takes to be rich so people don't die from, like dying starvation. But like countries now in the Western democracy, we can be conscious about being capitalist. And I'm sure generating less wealth is bad, but but that doesn't mean government should come in and then do that. I think we can raise awareness about this, guys. We can tell the business that, like they should be conscious, and when as a consumer, so we have right not to buy that product. And of course, right now, Hollywood in DC, I mean Harvard, Stanford, Columbia, I mean all these Ivy League schools getting so much grants from China. Media, I mean CNN, all getting money from China. Everybody's getting money from China, so they gotta do what China asked them. And I think that's why it is hard to meet it's hard for the public figures to stand behind the liberating North Koreans, right? Like when Africa, the AIDS and the malaria and the poverty came out to the world, right? Like what was the songs that all the Hollywood singers were singing behind, rallying behind, because it was politically correct. It didn't harm them. It was actually helping their career. But when you stand for Hong Kong, when you stand for Tibet, when you stand for North Korea, it's not helping them. And that's why I don't like this virtue signaling. It's people do it because it's helpful for their career. And they keep saying like, oh, I'm true believer of equality. I'm true believer of this. But now everybody's all behind of gay marriage because it's serving them good. But I want to look at the people who were behind it when it was unpopular. And North Korea right now is unpopular because they are not gonna win from it. And the people who stood behind it right now are the ones actually true decent people, not the ones later when it becomes a popular, they gain something from it. So like Ryan, I respect way more people who are like Martin Luther King Jr. or Frederick Douglass, that when slavery was popular and it was hard to break, and those people are the real heroes, not the ones right now keep telling me, sending me, asking me, why are you not putting the black box on your screen? Like, why are you not making a statement about this as a public figure? Like, everybody's doing it, guys. Like, I support it, but I don't have the virtue signal anymore. And this is like what sickens me, and how just fake all these fears, all these Hollywood stars coming out like and saying things like I'm all about inclusivity and like all of that, but there is actual cause that we need to stand behind, which is Hong Kong. Like they're distant in Hong Kong right now, going to jail, guys. The students who wants freedom in their homeland are sent to prison right now, Joshua Ran, right? And nobody's behind them. And what happened to all these great activists from Hollywood or DC media? Where are they? It just, I think, yeah. So I think whatever. Anyway, so there's really no ending to talk about this, like this sickness about people like trying to tell me like what an immoral person I am and what a moral they are, and it just, I think you guys can sit through that. And so guys, we've been talking more than like an hour. I began just like sharing a happy moments being in this home, in this studio, in small studio video, and as you can see my like bad friend bed there to be taken away. I gave so much my weird beliefs today. So Stephen, thank you. We focus too much of if what we say offends people or not. You mean say what you want and don't be sorry. Change the word, avoid anyone who says you can. Thank you so much, guys, for have a thick skin. I think that's the thing. Like I know people are becoming so fragile, and I don't even like the word like that, thick skin word. Like I think you guys are being so resilient, and that resilient is what makes us better and strong. And the fact that we can handle our opposition, and people will keep saying like you gotta like get a, and some my wonderful patrons gave me this advice, oh you should get a like moderator and kick out a lot of people that who say unthinkable things to you. And I do things like see the comments saying like, oh you're a prostitute, you slept with Kim Jong-un, you're the pledged God member, you're a liar, you're a CIA spy. I see all of that. Like I see all those negative comments, but I actually today I thought like I'm not gonna do that because I am resilient. I can be offended and I will be okay. That's my revenge to them. They cannot affect me. They cannot bring me down. So I think that's what we should be focusing on to build our resilience, not thinking about silencing somebody and silencing his speech. Like if we are in a world where everyone is so strong enough, so content with themselves, have so much truth in them that they, no matter what other people say, they are happy, they know what their truth is. That's like what's important. That's what lasts. Not about like going after every single body saying the wrong thing in their view. I don't know what a wrong thing means at this point. Like who decides that? Who makes the definition of being wrong and right? So I think it just, yeah. Freedom of speech exists not to protect your speech, to protect somebody who you disagree with. And I think people are just so getting it wrong right now in America, like what the definition of freedom of speech means. And that was so, I'm so grateful that you dared to me today, guys. Thomas, thank you. Western liberal virtue signals always seem to ignore the victim of communism. I agree. They are very one-sided. Thank you for great eventing. Just to you, you're great. Thank you, Zoe Fina. Is how I say your name. It was such an honor, guys, to do this, be in this journey with you, to spread awareness and tell our truth, right? Not being afraid. And I know that I was afraid in North Korea that I couldn't even whisper, but now I know I will never be scared again because I fought so hard to be free. I fought so hard to have this freedom of speech, guys. I literally crossed the desert for this. And I'm not gonna be silenced because, censorship, like because of I'm gonna lose my job, I'm gonna lose all my income stream. Like I will survive, like even in America, if I go to trash can, I have enough food to eat. Like literally, like what we have in our trash bins going to North Korea, North Korean people will be dying from happiness. That's how much we have. And that's why I always decided to stop worrying about my future as an activist and, live true life that I feel like I'm honest to myself. So I'm very grateful, guys, and thank you so much for supporting me. And I just want to special thank to my Patreons. You've been my rock, and I could do this work not being as afraid of YouTube censorship because of your support. And thank you guys. If you don't know, please join me my Patreon. I do Google Hangouts there, monthly Hangouts, and I see people in person, face to face, and we get to more private. And here too, it's just so wonderful to see you as always. And I'm looking forward to showing you my new place in 2 days. And I wish you all a wonderful evening, guys. Love you so much. And see you soon. Have a good night, guys. I love you very much. Bye.